Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a lovely break. There's coffee, I think, maybe. So have that if you want it. Our next speaker joins me now. Hello, Bruce. Nice to see you. Bruce Bigirwenkya, right?
Yes, pretty much.
If you can feel free to say it if I've not said it right. I really tried my best, though.
Yeah, Bigirwenkya.
Bigirwenkya. Where are you calling from today?
I'm in Kampala, Uganda.
Wow. So this is it. It's a very international conference, I think, which is kind of awesome. Before we jump into your talk, I'm just going to go over this little quiz here. So I asked what gets printed here. And you can see that I've got a context, which is being cancelled with a timeout after 3 seconds. Then we go into this infinite loop. And in the event, we have a few cases here. In the event that the context is cancelled, we just return. So that is what will actually stop this loop from running. And then we have 2 channels that we're waiting on using the time after. And that time after gives you a channel which essentially sends an event, sends the time after a certain delay. And that's what then is going to take control while we're waiting for that context to cancel. And actually, that second case with the 2 seconds will never happen because the 1 second will always catch it. And it resets each time you go around the loop. That's the thing to note. So therefore, the answer is it prints out, as we would expect, She Loves You, Yeah, 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 which is a Beatles song. Right. Bruce, I'm very excited to hear about your talk. You're going to be talking about GoPlease, the GoPLS language server, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, without any further ado, I give you Bruce.
All right. It just hit me when I was talking to Matt that GoPLS is something that a lot of people might be saying, understandably, but I guess please was the decision that they went with. Good afternoon to you all once again. My name is Bruce Bigirwenkya. I'm a software engineer with InVision, and I am working out of Kampala, Uganda. I believe GoPlease is first best to become the tooling of choice for Golang development. A lot of existing tools have poor support for Go modules introduced in Go from version 1.11. My goal today is to add context into how GoPlease executes and can be leveraged to improve development support. Tools are such an important hallmark of human existence and our ability to adapt and survive. They also influence how we address problems. Someone once said to a guy with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So it is important to understand their limitations and strengths in order to understand how best to leverage them when addressing challenges. Many of you, like me, filled out the annual Golang survey. The results imply people transitioning over to use GoPlease. Part of what I will be talking about has been talked about by Rebecca from the GoPlease team in another GopherCon talk. I shall provide a link to that at the end of my slides for your referencing. So what challenges did I face when I first started out, which like a lot of you people in the calls is slightly over a year ago. I was using VS Code for extensive development in Python and JavaScript, comfortable with the idea of adding a language server to the editor. The first time I started setting up Go code bases, I was initially unsure what the best extension to use in my editor was. Everything felt slightly broken and janky, like it was not a perfect fit. Sometimes something would work and then fail when I attempted it again later. So this is what it typically looks like when you are using the VS Code Go extension. If not installed behind the scenes, you have the option to install the tools one at a time. There are quite many. This makes sense. VS Code built in TypeScript would of course have limitations to supporting Go in the editor for various checks, linting, and analysis. So there is a need for it to leverage various tools to perform various duties. The challenges with this become clearer with each passing day. An update to Go would in some cases create a breaking change. One or more of these tools would then break when I updated my Go version, and inevitability at the time. Observing this, tracking down what tool was broken was not something that came easy. Sometimes a simple update would suffice because the breaking change has been addressed by the tool's maintainers. However, this was not always the case. And it feels unrealistic to hold the reliability of developer environments on a sparse set of open source tools from various maintainers. If you use various editors, a consistent environment, different editor tool builders would have to fix their implementations to factor in different linters checks as some became deprecated or new ones came up. It is this confusion, I believe, that prompted the work on the Gopls language server. So Gopls uses the language server protocol. And this protocol was originally developed by the VS Code team for TypeScript. The language server protocol expanded on existing uses of language servers in editors like Vim and Emacs. And it was developed into an open standard that can be used by anyone to develop editor support. So what is the point of a language server? The language server standardizes communication and interfaces over a transport channel that can leverage anything like sockets or the processor's standard input-output. The communication protocol typically used is JSON RPC, which is another open standard. I've linked to the specification, and you can check it out later. So using the Gopls language server would, in effect, simplify the structure to this, with anything else abstracted behind the language server. This means editor tools can have consistency and also lessen the burden on figuring out what the underlying broken tools are. Issues like understanding different build systems, which each tool would have had to figure out on their own in the past. This gets easier with the language server protocol. Loading packages for code bases using the module system is done by the LSP. So there are several needs of developers in the ecosystem that should be addressed in the long run, but the main objectives of the Gopls initiative are first and foremost to have to become the default standard, to have a full implementation of the LSP and create a sense of standardization around editor features. This is particularly handy for people transitioning over from other language ecosystems. It should also be extensible to allow anyone to modify to suit the extended needs. Other interests like speed currently only serve to guide the design decisions about what works and scales long term. My experience switching to Gopls was an immediate sense of relief and less confusion. Everything felt fairly faster and consistent. This might be unique to me because for a product I did this quickly, there was bound to be a lot of potentially breaking experiences. In my view, however, the simple decision to run off a language server made it easier to predict my editor behavior and understand its limitations. So how is it structured? Gopls uses a 3-layered approach at the moment. The cache layer created with every Gopls server instance allows different sessions to share similar resources like modules. Sessions are connections to editor clients, like VS Code in this case. Sessions can have multiple views, where each view is associated with a different workspace. These interfaces are leveraged by the language server, along with other interfaces like the snapshot, which is the current state of the view. So let's look at an example method in the LSP specification. DidSave is a notification, meaning there is no response expected. We can see that the server specifies a check for this method in the server handlers. It then calls the appropriate handler method to process the notification. This method leverages parameters passed via JSON RPC in the notification. Then we can process the current state of the snapshot in the view, check for modifications, run diagnostics, and create the appropriate reports. For example, to find missing dependencies. Work has been done internally abstracting away drivers for functionality like reading the file system. Code analysis leverages packages like GoToken and GoAST, which is abstract syntax trees, to parse snapshots and run analysis on the contents. This is the current list of supported features by Gopls. So if you are experiencing challenges with anything on this list, feel free to report it. It's also possible to extend the analysis or checks that are done. You can disable certain tools within Gopls, and that is something that I can provide a link to how to do after this. So how do we set it up? The repo has corresponding docs for each of the different editors currently using it. I also know there is a comprehensive guide for setting up in Vim. I'll link that at the end of the slides. So you can manually install the package for some reason if you have to. But for VS Code users, simply opening a Go project using Go modules should make this prompt come up if you are not already using the language server. If that doesn't happen, you can find the use language server setting and turn it on. It will most probably require like a workspace reload or a window reload. So currently there are some known issues with ongoing discussions to address them. For example, type checking C-Go packages since they contain non-Go code, or working with build tags that alter the packages and hence can create some inconsistencies. So the issues are linked to in case you have more inquiries. But even in those scenarios, you'll find that people have workarounds at the moment. So I encourage you to check them out if it's something that conflicts with your workflow. You might need to look at the RPC communication trace in case something is not behaving as expected. And you can view it in the output window in VS Code. You can also run a debug server by updating your VS Code settings to specify a debug server address. When you open it up, it should show you information about the different layers, give you access to memory information and other metrics. So you can look at the current state of snapshots, different views, and cache information. You can also look out for any detailed trace information. So, in summary, we have all faced challenges with finding dependency management tools that stay in sync with our development environment on the day-to-day. It's been my experience that the existing tools are slow and break easily when new versions of Go are released. The Go team developed the language server to solve this problem and an improved architecture for today and tomorrow. There are constraints that exist within the Gopls service and extensions for the common editors. However, work is being done to address these constraints. I want you to try Gopls when you're writing Go and report any issues that you come across. If you can take the time to review the implementations too, that would be nice. Thank you. Happy hacking. You can reach me on Twitter or in the Gophers Slack or any other means that I will share in any of those other medium. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Bruce. I'll clap on behalf of everybody. Yeah, very, very interesting. The Go Please, that language server, when it works in your IDE, it's phenomenal. And I encourage anybody who has used it in the past and didn't get on with it, I encourage you to try again because they keep making it better and better. There's quite a lot of releases coming out, I've noticed, and they get better every time, don't they, Bruce?
Absolutely.
Bruce, are you a full-time Go programmer, or are you doing it at work? What's your situation?
I'm doing it at work, but I am covering a lot of bases, so I really focus on problem solving primarily, and then tech-specific problem solving second.
Mm-hmm. Well, that seems like a smart approach anyway. And also, we didn't mention your charity. What was the charity you chose for your donation today?
The Nature Conservancy. Oh, if that's how you say it. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do they do?
They are saving the planet. Climate change is real. We have a lot of problems, and I wanted to make sure that that is something that we continue to appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. Great cause.
We need everyone's environment looking like Matt's background.
Yes, and that's a real plant as well. So in a way, I am saving the planet a little bit, at least, piece by piece. I wanted to also just call out Delivery Hero are going to be hosting a live pop quiz during lunch at their booth in the Expo tab. So check out the other tabs alongside up down the left-hand side because there's some interesting things there. There's also the networking as well, which is where you can go and have 2 minutes and 40 seconds of chat with a random person. What could go right? Get involved. There's also networking time later from 3 p.m., which I'll do in relative time later, where you can actually have, there's going to be a live Q&A at the Adjust booth as well, and that's also in the Expo area. So pretty cool. And also, I was interested in this. And Bruce, where would you answer on this? How long have you been a Go user? First year, 1 to 2 years, 3 to 4, 5 to 7, or 8 plus?
1 to 2, which probably lessens if you condense all the time, but 1 to 2.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny. Look, most people here are quite new to Go. You can see it's either the first year or 1 to 2 years. And of course, Go is growing so rapidly, it kind of makes sense. Most people are going to be new. So, yeah, your talk, Bruce, was perfectly timed. And anyone that is new, check it out. Go, please. Go PLS. It really will make your dev time a better experience. Okay, so we're about to break for lunch. Let's just check if there are any specific questions. If you've got any questions for Bruce about Go, please, then please go to the chat and put them in there. Meanwhile, I'm going to get this going. This is our big lunchtime challenge here. I have used emojis to describe Go packages, and you have to decode them. So based on these emojis, what Go package are they referring to? What Go package is being referred to? I'll tweet this out as well. The conference Twitter is also GopherCon EU. We'll also be tweeting it. And I think we're good for... That's it. We've got the lunch break coming up now, and this ends at the next hour. So whatever the next full hour is, that's when lunch is over. So it's 1 p.m. on the schedule, but depending on where you are in the world, who knows? Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great lunch. We'll see you after.